Hey everybody, hey, welcome. It is Sunday. What is it? May 17th? No, May 18th is Sunday. So, as I like to always do, just to make sure I'm not talking to myself when this goes off, I just want to make sure I'm live. Let me see. As I like to all. Yep, there we go. I am definitely live. So, in case no one joins me tonight, at least it will be available via the replay. So, I want to kind of send something over to myself, but I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time. While I was trying to do it while I was making video because I don't have this on my computer and I don't know if it'll actually play or whatever. But hey. So first, before we start everything, as usual, he said, "Are you sure it's not Miramax?" Yeah, it's definitely not. It's not. um, Before we start, I want to first thank everybody who has. Hey, what's going on, Lang? I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel. So I want to thank everybody. We have hit 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate everybody for subscribing to the channel. Hopefully, we'll get more and more subscribers as we grow over at this YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody who's joining the live chat tonight. My dad, my cousin Lang, MH08, David Matney, and actually, we were at 9,999 subscribers. And David texted me this following weekend. He was like, "Hey, Clark, you're close to 1,000. Let me see if I can get one of my support accountability members, or one of my accountability group members, to come over and subscribe to the channel to help push you over the threshold of 1,000 subscribers." So I want to thank David Matney. He is a real estate agent out of Omaha, Nebraska. And if you guys don't know, he's always on this channel in the chat. And I want to thank him for helping me to do that outside of everybody else, of course, adding to that $1,000 subscriber count. $1,000 subscriber count. 1,000 subscriber count, sorry. But yeah, so anyway, thank you again. If you guys are watching this on the replay, please let us know where you're tuning in from. How did you get over to the channel? And what are you currently going through real estate wise, or and also what would I say, what state you're from? I believe, I don't know if I said that or not, but what state you are tuning in from. And hopefully you don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give us a like while we're live to help push us through the algorithm. And even if once we're finished, if you can come over and put a like on the channel, that is greatly appreciative. And if you have any questions after the lives are finished, don't be scared to put it in the comments below. But while we are live, I want to make sure you guys join me in the live chat and have a very great conversation tonight about real estate. Hey, David, how you doing? How you doing? I just told everybody how you reached out to me the other day and got one of your group members to come over, your accountability group members to come over and help to push us over the edge to 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you. So let's kind of get into it tonight. I won't be that long, so you guys don't have to worry about hearing my voice longer than an hour. So if you guys don't know, there's been a lot of well, I think everybody does know from tuning into the YouTube channel every week. I feel like I'm almost saying the same thing every week, but this is kind of the things that's happening. It's like ebbs and flows in the real estate market, and it's kind of the same data kind of coming more and more. So hopefully I don't bore you guys of the monotony of it all. He said, "Congrats on hitting 1,000 subscribers." Yes, David, thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, so we're going to talk about, as the title says, home buyers are done. Well, it says buyers are done, and basically home buyers have been gone under contract, and they've been backing out of the contract. So I'm not sure if any other realtors that might watch this later on might see this. What is this? I don't know. Okay. What is this showing? Some documents. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I'm not sure if you guys will see this later on. If you're a realtor watching the channel, or if you're a current realtor watching the channel, let me know what's going on in your market. If you are seeing that buyers, some home buyers, are actually going under contract, but then turned around and they're like, yeah, I think I'm going to wait. So let's see what they're saying. I believe this is the article. Is this the article that I had? Sorry, you guys. I was reading some of it, but I don't know if this is the article. Is this the article? I think so. Sorry. Yep. So I think this is the article. Bear with me, you guys. I'm sorry. I was trying to find this packet, this mortgage booklet from HUD, and I have it on my iPad, but I don't have it on my main computer. So I was trying to pull it up on the main computer, and then I was going to try to um, airdrop it to my desktop, but it's a big packet, so it takes long. It takes long, but it's a great packet, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. If you understand, I want to understand mortgages and things like that, as far as if you get into one, to get more information. So it's always great to go to HUD.gov. They have a lot of resources for homeowners and home buyers, and we'll bring that up towards the end of the stream. So if you guys are a current home buyer or if you are a homeowner, it's always great to see what resources are available. So let's get into this. So there are a lot of people, again, that are buying homes, that are trying to go under contract to buy homes, and we know because of the unaffordability level, different things like that, they are backing out of the contract. So it's an economic jitters, high cost stifle spring home sales. So everybody, if you guys know, realtors always talk about how the spring market is a typical market in which you see home sales. Listings typically go up around springtime. You get buyers out shopping because people are relocating into, maybe if they're relocating from different states, different areas, they want to change different school districts, things like that, for their children, or they just have a job kind of pushing them to another location. You'll see like a lot of relocating around springtime sometimes. And well, most times in the last 2 years, this year and last year, and even a little bit of 2023, you kind of saw more of a stagnant pace of home sales in the spring. They haven't been, jumping as they normally would do during the springtime. So it says right here, and some of this information might be repeated information, but we'll zoom through the repeated information. It says pending U.S. home sales fell 3.4% year over year during the 4 weeks ending May 11 to their lowest level on record for this time of the year, aside from 2020. It said would-be home buyers are backing off for two main reasons. One, rising home sales prices and elevated mortgage rates pushed this week's median monthly housing payment to, and we talked about this last live, $2,860, just $6 shy of the record high set the week before, which I think was $2,868, I believe. So the week before when we were talking, the mortgage was about, I think, $6. Well, yeah, it says just $6 shy. So yeah, so it's $6 more last week. Like I said, most of this information is just similar, reporting week by week, month by month. Two Redfin agents in many parts of the country. So it's great. Again, this is a Redfin report, so there always are going to poll Redfin agents, but we got to be mindful that Redfin agents don't hold all the data, nor does Redfin hold all the data, right? These are different outlets and third-party sources that are collecting data from other outlets per se. So the data is a little skewed in some situations. So we got to be mindful these are Redfin agents. However, so it's always great to hear from different agents, but there's a plethora of brokerages and agents throughout the nation. So we just got to be mindful of that as well, including Oregon, North Carolina, Texas, Ohio report that some buyers are backing off because they're nervous about the future of the U.S. economy. There is also a holiday effect. The Easter fell into the year's fourth week period, but not the comparable period in 2024. So we all know that there's definitely some uncertainty. We have this crazy Trump administration. They are pushing tariffs. We don't get too political over here, even though I do talk politics, because we got to remember that politics do go hand in hand with housing, even though people might feel like it doesn't. It does, because we do have what's happening right now. The tariffs are bringing a lot of uncertainty. People are losing job losses happening, and that is happening because some of the administration might have tried to lay some people off. Then because of the even though the Federal Reserve is not connected to the government, you have them creating the keeping the mortgage rate, the interest rates more steady, or and not really dropping them as much. So per se, because of that, we have some jobs are now laying people off because of the affordability level. So it's a lot of things going on. People are losing jobs. There's a lot of uncertainty happening. So because of that, we are seeing people being uneasy, where they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to buy. And we have people that don't want to sell. So some people are not selling, but then we also have some people that do want to sell or have to sell, and they're trying to sell, but then they're realizing that, am I going to be able to get what I need to get out of this? And we'll get into more of that later on, because working in real estate, and I'm not sure about you, David, but working in real estate, especially in this market that's going on right now, I get a lot of people that I talk to on the daily that have I'm sorry, y'all. I have one of my clients is texting me. Okay, sorry, she was just texting me. I just wanted to read it real quick. I'm sorry about that, you guys. But on the daily, I'm seeing a lot of people you know, what's going on, Jaron and Fresh You Florals? Thank you guys for joining me. Um, what I'm seeing on dailies when I'm talking to people, people have recently just bought like a property a year or two ago, and now they're trying to sell it because the property taxes went up, the insurance went up, the unaffordability of it went up. They might have just recently got laid off. Things are happening, and people are trying to sell, and they can't really sell. So we'll talk about that a little bit too, because I always tell people when you're jumping into real estate nowadays, you got to be very mindful that it's something that you can be able to actually afford to pay. I don't feel like people should jump into buying a home or in this day and market unless you understand the affordability level of it all, and then also you are okay with the monthly mortgage of it all. I'm not going to tell people not to purchase a home, but I definitely want to tell people to make sure it makes sense when you purchase a home, because I can't tell you when to do what you want to do, right? So MHA said, tell that client to get on the live stream. This is the same client that when David was doing David's live stream, I was on the phone with this client. So this client that I'm working with right now is one of my sellers, and we're trying, and yeah, it's a lot. And I don't want to say anything negative. So what they said, what the people said on the movie Bambi, if you have nothing to say, don't say anything at all. What the thumper say, I don't know. So, because I don't want people to think that that's what type of person I am, as far as trying to put people's stuff on blast. So I don't want no one to ever feel like they can't trust me when it comes to me helping them in a real estate transaction. But anyway, so yeah, but this is the same client when David was doing his live. David said, I feel your pain. Yes. I am when I tell you guys I'm so tired, I can't sleep right. I have another seller as well. We just got an offer for their house. We are officially under contract with their house. It's not exactly it's not exactly the best offer per se, and we try to negotiate it accordingly. But at the end of the day, it's what the seller wants, and I'm representing the seller, and so he was okay with that number, and that he was okay with taking that amount. So again, even though as a real estate agent, the goal of me is to help advise you through the process, educate you, accordingly. However, at the end of the day, it's up to you ultimately. Like, I put all the facts in front of you, I lay everything down in front of you, and ultimately you make the final decision. This is not my house. I'm not buying. This is not my house I'm selling, and I'm not buying a house. I'm here to be the facilitator, to educate you, to advocate for you, to help you through the process, to make the best decisions as possible, for you, as may be advised through me. But at the end of the day, you have to take on the rest of the journey by yourself, because this is your house, and whether you're selling it, and this is your house that you're buying. So yeah. David says sometimes an accepted offer is the best offer. Yes, and I agree, David. I agree. So like I tell everybody, it's up to you. It's not me. But let's get back to this article. He said there's a lot of doubt and hesitation among house hunters, said Mimi Logans, a Redfin Premier agent in Portland, Oregon. It says people are starting their home search, then backing out because they either talk to their lender and realize how high their monthly payments would be, or they're feeling jittery about tariffs, a potential recession, or the possibility of getting laid off. One smart strategy I'm seeing among people who are buying right now, they're looking for condos or small houses to lower their monthly payments and simplify their life. A smart strategy for sellers is offering mortgage rate buydowns to so the thing about this right here, as far as I'm saying, like he's saying smart sellers to offer mortgage rate buydowns. A seller cannot offer you a mortgage rate buydown. The lender does that. However, what the seller can offer you, and unless I'm mistaken, David, let me know. What I've seen in real estate is that typically the seller will offer you more concessions, and then through those concessions, you can ask your lender, would I be able to utilize some of these concessions to help buy down my rate? So I don't I don't know if they're saying it right or maybe I'm misinterpreting it somewhere, but I would think they should have said like a smart strategy for sellers is offering concessions, and through those concessions, you can talk to your lender to help you buy down the rate. Okay, somebody's calling my phone now. Sorry, you guys. Oh, this is the stuff for this the seller. Give me 1 second. I apologize, you guys. I feel like now that I jump on here, it's always something earlier, nothing was happening. This is what happened. All right, good. This is what happened on Friday. I was at my office, right? I was at my office. I'm sorry if I'm going on tangents, y'all. I know you guys jumped on to talk about, buyers are done and canceling contracts. But I was at and I feel like I'm always going on tangents, so I apologize. But I was at my office on Friday, and when I was at my office on Friday, I was actually working on, and I was working on something else for another client, and then one of the agents at my office has a house listed up the street, and another person came into town, as another agent came into town looking for property for one of her for her son or whatever, and they needed me to run over there, open the door, and now so I'll be helping. Now I'm going to help, as best as possible, her son as far as try to buy a house in the city of Atlanta. But I was like it was a lot going on. Then while I was there, then the two sellers that I have currently, they were calling me. And then another agent friend of mine's called me for a colleague of mine's called me for some advice about something with one of her fellow friends that's trying to sell a house. So it was like a lot going on. I feel like this is what's happening now. But anyway, what David said, he said, no, I agree with you. Okay, all right. Yeah, I felt like that should have been the best way to kind of say it. Jaron said, answer the phone. I did. I answered the phone. It wasn't nothing crazy. I got a text. We'll see it. Okay. And then Dad said, tiny houses may be the best buy. Lane said, busy traffic is good. Yeah, I'm not complaining. Traffic is, it's always great to be busy, but it allows stuff to go by. Jaron said, congratulations, Parker, on reaching 1,000 subscribers. Yes, thank you guys. I mentioned that earlier. I appreciate everybody for subscribing to the channel. Let's keep on growing if we can. I would appreciate everybody. But anyway, let's get back to this. And even the thing of like they said, as far as things like we kind of mentioned earlier, of the home buyers having the potential of a recession. Of course, they have been talking about a recession due to the way things are kind of uneasy right now due to the tariffs, even though we know that the Trump administration put about a 90-day effect on the tariffs with China, and they're trying to work out a deal. So hopefully that will allow it to give us some breathing room with mortgage rates. But I don't think, according to what Jerome Powell said at the Feds, I don't think he has any plans on lowering interest rates no time soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see another possible interest rate lowering maybe until September-ish time, around there, if any as possible, or maybe November. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they might come in July, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be more later in the year. And I don't know what type of effect that will make on the mortgage rates, because if we're still in an uncertain environment, it's going to create an uneasiness for the lenders and everything. And we'll kind of break it down how lenders look at the rates and stuff like that, so we can get more of an idea. Because again, I'm not a lender. I'm a realtor. I just, I talk to a lot of lenders. I know a lender that's been in business for dang near 50 years. And then I just wanted to make sure I educate myself as a real estate professional. Jaron said, let's turn the 1,000 into 10,000. Yes, let's turn the 1,000 subscribers into 10,000. I totally agree. Let's make it happen. It says Chen Zhao, I guess I'm saying his name right, Redfin's head of economic research, said that while this week's news about the U.S. slashing tariffs on China is boosting the stock market and reducing the risk of recession, it's also pushing mortgage rates up. He said it's a catch-22 for home buyers, Zhao said. Mortgage rates are unlikely to fall unless all of the new tariffs are eliminated, or if the country falls into a fairly severe recession, which would cut housing budgets for many Americans. He said on the selling side, new listings are up 5.1% year over year, and the total number of homes for sale is up 14.3%. Redfin agents say there's more housing supply than usual at this time of the year because many listings are sitting on the market. For buyers, the bright side of the rising supply and limited demand is that nearly half of the home sellers are giving concessions, which is definitely true. A lot of people are giving more concessions. Um, Hey, what's going on, Sam? He said, Mr. Beast better keep his head on a swivel now that Clark has 1,000 subscribers. Hey, he better. It would be amazing if I could get up to millions and millions of subscribers like Mr. Beast. So, but we gonna see. I know what's his name. Was it Graham Stephan or is it Stephen Graham? I think it's Graham Stephan. He has a lot of a great YouTube channel and amassed a lot of subscribers over there and so even if I can get up to his level, but I'm trying to reach David's level and then reach Jen and Jackie and Christina, all these wonderful people that I look to, wonderful, wonderful real estate agents, wonderful people in general. So I appreciate all of them as well for allowing me and helping me to, outside of you guys as well, get into 1,000 subscribers. He said MHOA said 100,000 subscribers. Hey, yeah, and then we got the pizza, and I'll ship everybody a pizza. Well, I don't know if I could do that. It might be cold, but maybe I'll order a pizza. If I get to 100,000 subscribers, I'll call everybody up. You send me your phone number. I'll give you a call, and then I'll order your favorite pizza out of the area, and you can have a pizza party at your house. Jaron said, yeah, the stock market is getting a boost, which I'm happy about, but what's that mean for our housing market? Yeah, so the stock market is definitely got a boost, but the housing market is in a different arena right now, because the housing market is not, it goes almost was, I don't say parallel, but I guess you could say kind of parallel. It kind of goes parallel with the interest rates, but it's not attached to interest rates. It's like an indirect. The treasury is the one, the 10-year treasury is the one that has the bonds. Investors buy bonds, and that's in turn helps to facilitate the mortgage rates per se. And then on top of that, the lender comes, and I'll talk about this later on. We'll read some of it because again, I'm not a lender, and I'm not a CPA, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a realtor, but I'm just going off for the knowledge that I know. And then they'll buy, like they buy the bonds per se, and then the bonds in turn, what they do is they allow for the rates to kind of, if they buy more bonds, the rates go down, and if they take out of the bonds, the rates go up, and then the mortgage, the lenders then facilitate based off of that information. Based off of that information, they then take all your information as a lender per se, like you're getting money from the lender per se, the banks or whatever. They then take your information, your credit score, all these different factors, and then they factor it into giving you a certain mortgage rate, interest rate, I should say. And so yeah, but anyway, with that being said, it could and definitely the uneasiness can definitely affect the housing market, which it is currently doing, and it's allowing more houses to sit on the market per se. It's making home buyers, as we're reading this article, it's making them go under contract. Some people then they're backing out after they're seeing those estimates. That's why I always tell home buyers, when you're looking at a house, you should always, if you can, ask the agent, or not ask the agent, ask your lender if they can give you a good faith estimate. So basically, a good faith estimate is you'll send over the address of the property and the price point that you either are going to pay for the property or you or the realtor have discussed as far as putting in an offer for the property at. And then you send it over to the lender. Sometimes the lender will ask you, like, do you know what the current property taxes are? Do you know the current, they might ask for certain numbers per se that they might not be able to see, or they might didn't dig into public records to see currently, and they'll ask you for that information. Then they'll calculate everything with all their fees, all that stuff, all those different things. If they'll calculate the principal of interest, the insurance, the homeowners insurance, if you're doing PMI, MIP, whatever you got in there, the HOA, they'll calculate property taxes, they'll calculate all that in. And again, it's a good faith estimate. So they'll tell you, like, this is what we believe your mortgage could possibly be. And so that way, all that up front. So when you're going through the home buying process, you don't have to back out of the contract if you feel comfortable at that particular mortgage rate. I mean, monthly mortgage payment. So I always advise people you should do that first, just to make sure this is affordable to you, because you might get approved. Say you get approved for $400,000 loan, and but you buy something at 350 because you feel like, oh, I never tell people to go at the top of the loan. But say you buy something at 350, then you realize after you get your good faith estimate from the lender, you're like, oh, I can't afford this monthly mortgage payment, and I know over time taxes might go up. I know over time home insurance is going up. And we definitely know home insurance is going to rise again, even auto insurance, because it was just a recent disaster, a tornado disaster in St. Louis, Missouri. So we definitely know home insurance is going to go up again. I don't know if the government is triggering these daggone climate situations in these different states. And I know that we have a lot of climate control stuff, but when I tell you, baby, it's a lot of daggone natural disasters going on ever before, or maybe just because back then we didn't have social media and all these other outlets of media, so I didn't see as many disasters. But I feel like there's more disasters now than there ever were before. And we do know that climate change is real. And because of that, that is what's provoking some of these higher insurance costs as far as home insurance. Because if you have these big nationwide insurance carriers, they're basically making everybody foot the bill so they can make their money. But anyway, that's another tangent. But yeah, so we're definitely going to see a lot of stuff like that. MHOA said, no, I need a reason to come back to Atlanta. Haven't been there for nearly 40 years. Okay, well, yeah, come back to Atlanta. Come back. I'm like, I don't know if I'll be here, those many years I don't know how long you've been in Atlanta, but I don't know if I would ever be here 40 years myself. But I know you said you haven't been here nearly 40 years though, but I don't know if I would even live here for that long. LOL, I take that back. Was at the airport in 2018. Okay, so you did like a mid was it overlay? What do they call it? An over something, I forget. Jeez. Insurance may fall when companies stop covering roofs. Yeah, that's true. I'm like, insurance will definitely kind of maybe fall down a little bit if they stop covering the roof. So that's true. Hopefully, I don't know. We hope that would happen. But what I'm realizing is that some of these people are so greedy that you would think if they stop covering certain things that they would lower costs and things, and then you find out that they're still charging you astronomical prices, even though they don't cover half of the stuff they used to cover. That's even like when you buy food nowadays, you get less potato chips in the bag, you get less food on the plate, even though we shouldn't eat a lot of food, consume a lot of food, which we do as Americans. And I'm not gonna lie, I do it as myself. But it's like you paying more for less nowadays. So I don't know, MHOA. He said, just renewed my policy this week. I'll be dropping my roof in 4 years. Oh wow, oh wow. Are you do you still currently have I guess a loan on your house, or you have a I think you had told me that your house was completely paid off, so they're probably okay with you, taking that coverage off of your insurance policy. So let's see. Okay, so right here is talking about that as far as, I'm sorry, you guys, we got off the track a little bit. It says agents advise buyers to try to negotiate sales prices down or ask for money for repairs or closing costs. And then this kind of goes into the leading indicators as far as the different economy where prices are up and down. We kind of went into that before, so I'm not going to touch on that no more. He said, no, almost paid off. Okay, you're almost paid off. All right. So you have more equity. So they're probably, the insurance company is probably okay to, home insurance as far as taking, quote unquote. It's so crazy because you would think, you'd be like, oh, well, maybe it's because they think it's a risk per se to them. But in reality, it's really not a risk to them because, they're like, well, so, and this is what else I wanted to kind of touch on. Let me get this off of my screen right here, because if not, it's going to. This is what else I kind of wanted to touch on as well. It's called the typical home seller wants $39,000 more than the typical buyer is willing to pay. So this was another thing that is having, of course, buyers to sit on the sideline or say, I'm done, like I'm done. Outside of just canceling the contracts because the mortgage payments are not what they want them, what they would like them to be. And then also that, with the higher home prices, the interest rates creating these more unaffordable mortgage payments. And this is what I was telling one of my sellers, right? I was saying, okay, when you bought, okay, so the house went through two people, one person prior to my seller and then my seller. So when the first person they bought their townhome for about $200,000, and their interest rate might have been like 4%. And then when my seller that currently has a house now, when they bought the house, they bought it for $415,000. However, their interest rate was a lower interest rate per se than the interest rates now. So their mortgage was a different amount. And so I was telling them like, hey, it's going to be a little harder for someone to obtain your house as a single person nowadays compared to when the first buyer bought it and when you bought it, because the prices were different. With either where his price was lower than your price with a better kind of mortgage rate in 2018, and then your price was higher, like two times the amount higher, but your interest rate was lower. And then this person is trying to buy it now. The interest rates are in the high, like mid to high sixes or 7%, depending on if you're getting a conventional, possibly. And with the price being higher, the mortgage is higher. So the way in which you guys were able to sustain your mortgage as a single person, person now could possibly going to need one or two or three, well, two or three people to sustain a higher mortgage. So I don't think people are taking this into consideration. Like everybody is being so strung upon selling, trying to sell their house at these astronomical, at these higher price points. And some people do have to try to sell at a higher price point because if they bought 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there's no equity there. A lot of equity, as I mentioned to you guys, especially down in the Georgia area. I don't know where else is happening that, but I know down here in certain areas, equity is being stripped out of the homes. And it's the pandemic equity, as we talked before, is kind of it came and it's slowly poofing and disappearing. And so people who just bought 2 years ago that are now they like, oh, I don't want to live in my house no more. I don't want a house no more, or bought 3 years ago, I can't afford this house no more, or whatever. They're not realizing that you have no equity in the space of your house now because the prices are, you might have bought higher than you should have bought. And now prices are now, especially down here in the Metro Atlanta, Georgia area. I don't know about other areas, but down here, prices are kind of slowly deflating. And with them deflating, you cannot buy your house. I mean, you cannot sell the house for the amount you thought you could sell it for because there's no equity, because equity is slowly poofing and disappearing. But anyway, let's kind of get in. So this kind of leads us into this article right here, where we have, delusional sellers, as I call them. I call them Delulus. Delulus want to price their house so high, even after a realtor tells them, or a real estate professional say, hey, guess what? I'm looking at the market around you. I'm looking at the comparables. I'm showing what this is what things are selling for. I don't know if it's smart enough to price it at this price point because you might not get no buyers to buy the house because this price point is not correct. And if you're the highest price point in the area, people might come by to look at it because they might say, oh, well, let me just, take a look at it. But they're not going to put an offer in typically because they're like, this is ridiculously too high, and I can go up the street or I can go across the street and buy a house with a similar square footage at a cheaper price. Why would I buy your house? Why would I buy your house? So it may be harder to sell their house when new construction is offering better concessions. Exactly. And when new construction, and David said 100% true, yeah, when new construction is offering better incentives, better concessions, you have, new construction offering 30-year fixed buy down rates, 3.8%. And in some of these areas down here, 4-something percent, 5-something percent. They're offering $20,000, $30,000. Some of them are offering up to $40,000 in concessions. They're offering to utilize those concessions in many different ways. They'll pay the closing costs, but then they'll take some of those concessions and put it towards paying your HOA fees, paying different things to kind of get you into the home. Right now, even new construction builders down here in the Metro Atlanta area, and I keep saying the Metro Atlanta area because, again, real estate is local to where you live at. So I don't want to say all around because I don't know what's happening all around. I just know my area. And what we're reading on these articles, these are nationwide headlines. But again, real estate is very local. So I always say my area. But I know in my area, this is what I'm seeing in regards to that. David said, and it is new, not used. Exactly. And it's new, it's not used. So, and this is what's happening with this article. It says typical home seller wants $39,000 more than typical buyers willing to pay. And at the end of the day, they're talking about home seller. They ain't say the typical home new, like the builder, because these builders are actually in the Metro Atlanta area. Some of these new constructions are cheaper than the resales. But a lot of these resales are happening at a higher price point because a lot of these people that recently bought down here in this area are trying to get rid of their home, and they don't have that much spread between the mortgage that they currently owe, the home prices where they can sell it at, and then also any other fees that happen in between that, whether it be real estate fee, like realtor fees, or those other type of fees. And at the end of the day, I tell some of these home sellers, hey, the best option may be for you to do for sale by owner, because if you can't sustain some of the fees, your best option might be to do for sale by owner. But let's look at some of the Lulus that are not recent homes buyers, but might own their homes, let's say 20 something years, and they still trying to make people pay $39,000 over asking price. It says the prices home sellers are asking for and the prices home buyers are paying haven't been this out of whack since the start of the pandemic. The typical home for sale is listed at 9% more, $38,672 than the typical home is selling for. The biggest gap since May of 2020. So right here is showing you how the gap between the home list prices and the sales prices is widening. So this is where the median U.S. home sale price is. So again, they're taking it around the whole U.S. It's not just one area. And then they're saying this is where the median U.S. home list price is at. So this is the gap right here that equals that $38,000 something gap, where people are getting, like, hey, I still want this. MHOA say, I don't want new. New is always in an HOA. Yes, a lot of new things now are being built inside of HOA developments. However, I tell people, if you do want new, there are some smaller builders, or there are some like mom and pop builders who are finding land that are not in HOA communities. I actually just went last week with a colleague in my office, one of her friends. He just built a house in Mableton, a big, nice house. It's not an HOA development. He bought the house, the older house, and then he knocked it down, and then they reconstructed a whole new construction house on the land. So he graded the land, cleared everything out. And I'm actually gonna make a video because my colleague she's building a house as well, and she told me I can come along with her and record some of the video for her building a house. So that's the great thing about working in real estate and having so many colleagues and professionals around that do amazing things outside of the typical just transaction as far as working with people to buy and sell houses, but then to also be in tangent with other with builders and developers and friends and colleagues that I've been able to have the pleasure of working with or alongside of, or just having conversation with. I just love everybody. I'm like, tonight is just love everybody day. Great. He said, LOL, and I don't want to shake my neighbor's hand while in the bathroom. Oh, because the newer houses are being built a little closer with less land. Yeah, but you can definitely find, like I said, houses that are being new construction on lands and with smaller builders might buy that are not in HOA communities, and they still give you land. Like I said, my colleague, the house that they currently have built is beautiful. It's a beautiful house, and they have a lot of land, and it's a nice house. I wish I could. I was going to do a video when I went to it, but I was like, I don't know. It's been a while since I've done like a house tour on my YouTube page, and I don't know. I'm trying to not do so many house tours. I put some tours up there as far as some houses that I'm currently working with people with, but we'll see what happens. I never say never. But yeah, so right here it says this is based on home listings and sale price data in March, when a typical newly listed home had a price tag of $469,729, a record high. The typical home that sold last month fetched $431,057. If I would have said 4,000, y'all would be like, well, I'm not gonna buy a house today. Below the June 2024 record high of 442,529. Redfin's analysts, analyst of MLS data covers medium sales prices of homes sold during a given month and medium list prices of homes listed during the same month. Redfin's records date back to 2012. Ooh, slow down with the reading, Devon. Slow down. The gap is widening because list prices are growing more than twice as fast as sales prices. The median list price rose 6.2% year over year in March, the biggest increase since September 2022. By comparison, the median sale price climbed 2.5%, the smallest increase since September 2023. And then it says the last list price growth outpaced sale price growth by this much was July 2020, when the pandemic home buying frenzy fueled fierce bidding wars, empowering sellers to price high. So that's kind of talking about the Lulu home sellers. And I'm like, hopefully, I don't, my thing is that I don't want nobody to feel like I'm attacking them as a home seller. Of course, my job is to help you if you're trying to sell a home, to advocate for you, educate you. But you do get people who will come to you and say, well, I know everything. I know what I'm doing. I don't need a realtor. But then they'll ask you for information. Then they'll be like, oh, I want to work with you. But then they'll be like, oh, I want to work with you, but I'm gonna facilitate everything. So I'm like, well, if you're gonna facilitate everything, then you don't need me. You don't need me. It's like, what's the point? I'm like, I always tell people, like I said, I think on the last live, if you're gonna hire a professional that's good at their job, then what I advise you to do is let them do their job. The problem is a lot of people nowadays, they hire people, but then they don't want them to do their job. And I don't know if it's some PTSD, or I don't know how to say it, PTSD, whatever. I don't know if it's something with that where it's like, oh, no. But it's like, you have to allow the person to do their job. That's if you go to get surgery done by a doctor in the hospital and they're giving you surgery on your lungs or your heart or whatever. You don't wake up out of your sleep if you're put down with anesthesia and be like, I'm going to start doing my own open heart surgery. No, you let the professional do their job. But a lot of people, when it comes to real estate nowadays, and I don't know if it's because, and I always say this, and I don't know if it's because what social media is showing. I don't know if it's because of, what TV is showing, but a lot of people think real estate agents are just glorified door openers and they don't know anything. And I'm not saying people haven't had bad experiences, because you have bad experiences throughout many professions with many people. But I just tell people, if you get a good person, a good professional, let them do their job. Do not step on their toes, please, 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 because you're only harming the process. You're harming the process. Jaron said layover. Oh, yeah, that's what it is, layover. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. He said PTSD. Yeah, there you go, PTSD. See, thank you. See, this is why I need you guys here to help me out, because I'll be having these brain farts, because I just be going and going and going. But okay, so this right here says about the mortgage rates, right? Because this all goes hand in hand with buyers feeling like, I'm done, I'm giving up, I'm canceling my contract. It says little chance of rate cuts in the current economy. So we all know, it says mortgage rates ticked up this week, and it could take a recession to bring them down. But that doesn't mean a home sales rebound is off the table. So it says the rollback of tariffs earlier this week, and we keep talking about this tariff thing because the tariff is creating the uncertainty, because the administration put these daggone tariffs in place, and it just created an uncertainty amongst all of the economy. Excuse me. MHOA say, don't worry, Doc, I got this. Exactly. Don't worry, Doc. I'm just going to start doing my own heart surgery. Let me just start doing it. Don't worry about it. That's how I feel when it comes to, people when they work with a good real estate professional. They're like, don't worry, I'm going to do everything. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to let you go. Do you. What they say, what show was I watching? They say, do you, boo-boo, do you. Do you. The rollback on tariffs earlier this week was good news for the stock market, but it didn't help home buyers looking to finance their purchase. It says the 30-year fixed rate mortgage averaged 6.18% this week, according to the latest Freddie Mac survey, up slightly from last week's rate of 6.76. Mortgage News Daily, which uses a different set of metrics to determine rates, but the average daily rate at 6.96 for May 15. So it says this week's rate increase is tied to the 10-year, which we talked about earlier, 10-year Treasury bond. It's the Treasury bond, but they call it Treasury yield, which is driven by the recent U.S. trade agreements with UK and China, said Hannah Jones, senior research analyst at Realtor.com. While U.S. tariff policies remain in flux, the agreement suggests increased costs for imported goods, though these effects have yet to show up in the CPI inflation data. It says fewer scenarios for significantly lower rates. So they're basically saying what the scenario, if we want to see lower rates, these are some type of scenarios that could possibly cause them to be lower. The current dynamic mortgage rates in the overall economy is a bit of a catch-22 situation for home buyers. It says mortgage rates are unlikely to fall unless all of the new tariffs are eliminated, which they won't be, or if the country falls into a fairly severe recession, which would cut housing budgets for many Americans. And we do know that there has been a lot of talks around recessions. So we have to see what is it, CPI and all the reports that come in. We have to see where it's at as far as the numbers, all those different things, unemployment, all those different things to kind of see if we're in the recession and all that. I believe we already in a recession, but to each his own. But again, there a lot of greatness comes out of, which kind of sucks. But when people are down or things are looking at disastrous or whatever, a lot of people make out in these moments. So people, you might get some investors that might sneak in here or somewhere somehow and start buying properties at lower price. You might get some home buyers that might luck out, as well as being that they're in the process of, if they're currently looking, they are able to kind of, lowball a lot of offers and get those prices down to where they feel is desirable for them to be able to afford their monthly mortgages. So definitely, if you are in the market, just do your research and see what makes sense to you, and put that offer in there. You never know what can happen. You never know. She also thinks the reduction in tariffs with China makes it unlikely that the Federal Reserve will cut rates soon, as the odds of the recession have declined while inflation concerns remain in place. So it said the elevated rates are hindering what's already been a slow home buying season this spring. Zillow's April market report found that sales were lagging beyond last year's pace, even though mortgage rates were over 7% at the time. So this is all them talking about. Again, as far as the rates, there is no change kind of happening. People wanted the rates to kind of go lower. They haven't been going lower. They've been stuck at a certain level. And home buyers want to buy, but they're like, I can't with these particular rates in the home affordability prices. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so let's get into one last thing. Let's get into one last thing, and then I'll let you guys go to enjoy your Sunday. So this is in regards to talking about, what is, and I'm pretty sure you guys know this or whatever, but we're going to talk about how are mortgage rates determined and why do they change. And so, the purpose of doing this is for home buyers per se. I was like, well, let me, talk about this a little bit, and see. Is this the right one? Okay. And, and kind of give some insight. Again, I'm not a lender, but this is Mortgage News Daily website. And they kind of break stuff down. And then you can also take this information and go talk to a lender just to get clarity over it per se. But it's saying how are mortgage rates determined and why do they change? So I figured let's talk about this a little bit, just because this can help in regards to if you are currently, in that realm of looking at a mortgage, as far as being a new home buyer. So it says mortgage rates are driven by investor demand. Investors view mortgages as similar to bonds, lower risk, more stable return. Unpredictable consumer behavior makes mortgages more risky than guaranteed bonds like U.S. Treasuries. Investors expect higher rates of return for riskier scenarios. Low credit scores equal higher mortgage rates, etc. This says we've covered the building blocks of mortgage rates. So basically what they're doing right here, it says simple version. So this is going to tell you how mortgage rates are based. It says at their most basic level, mortgages are like bonds, fixed income investments where an investor fronts a lump sum and is paid back over time with the interest. There are many types of bonds in the bond market, and those that are similar to each other tend to move in the same direction based on investor demand. Movement in the bond market generally translates to movement in the mortgage rates. From there, lenders make additional adjustments to rates based on things like your credit score, down payment amounts, and other risk factors. Those adjustments rarely change, so day-to-day movement in an individual rate quote is almost always determined solely by bond market movement, unless your credit score rapidly changes or you decide to put a different amount of money down. So basically what they're saying is that investors, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I haven't seen you in a long time. Was it Corey West? Wait, am I saying it right? I think last time we had a problem with me saying it. Hopefully I said it right this time. Haven't seen you in a long time. Thanks for catching us on the live. Thanks for coming back and catching us on live. We're just talking about right now about mortgages and everything like that. We were talking about in regards to the current market and home buyers kind of backing down and they're saying they're done. And then we also made mention because of all you wonderful guys, we finally hit 1,000 subscribers over here on the YouTube channel. So we had our 1,000 subscriber little yay moment in the beginning. So I appreciate you coming and joining us live. But yeah, so when it comes to the mortgages, this is basically I'm basically telling you guys how the mortgages are kind of thought out when it comes to you getting a more interest rate per se with your mortgage. And so what it is similar is basically a lot of investors, they buy into these bonds and then in turn they, it's a long-term yield where they try to stay in the bond market and then they get the interest off of those bonds over time. And then once all that's kind of done up in the back part of it per se, now, like they say right here, the lenders make additional adjustments based on like your credit scores, your down payments. I know one client I was working with, the lender, they also made an adjustment according to how much closing costs the client could get. So it was like they were like, this client needs to get closing costs in order for the loan in order for the mortgage payment to be here, they need to get a certain amount of money in closing costs. So there's a bunch of adjustments that are made, other risk factors, like they said, that are made. Of course, like your debt to income ratio, all these different things. That's what determines those interest rates sometimes. That's what determines everything as far as that. So Lang said, congratulations, thank you. He said, yes, Croy. Okay. I was like, let me make sure I'm saying it right. So I appreciate you guys. But yeah, so it's a lot of things in regards to that. This is the detailed version of a mortgage. But I figured I would just kind of let you guys kind of give like a little, even though I know you guys know what a mortgage is per se, but I just wanted to kind of get more of a back end of a little more information. This kind of breaks down some more about like other things as foreclosures or short sales. And we are seeing some foreclosures kind of coming to the market. It's not as many as probably in like prior years, but we definitely are seeing some down here in Georgia. We get at the end of the year too in Atlanta, if you're looking to buy foreclosure in Atlanta, the best one is to come at the end of the year, November, December, more December time, because you will get the opportunity to see some of the, let me see, you'll get the opportunity to see if you're looking for like tax sales or tax deed foreclosure, tax lien, tax deed foreclosures, you'll get an opportunity to get those because those kind of get sold on the courthouse steps in December. So let's show you right now where the possible mortgage rates are at. Currently right now, of course, we know mortgage rates kind of, flux up and down every day. So right now, they're saying that this is conventional right here, 30-year fixed conventional 6.92, 15-year conventional 6.26, a jumbo loan. So if you guys don't know what a jumbo loan is, a jumbo loan is typically a loan that goes past whatever Freddie Mac's income requirements are. So I think down here in Georgia now for FHA, they went up down here now. And don't quote me on this because I'm doing this off the bat from what I'm trying to remember. But I believe the jumbo loan now down here has gone up to get a regular FHA loan, or it might be conventional, it might go up to like 700 and something thousand. Then once you go over that, you have to then apply for a jumbo loan. It's like I think like $749 something thousand. Excuse me. So a jumbo loan is for those bigger loans per se, $1 million property loans down here in Georgia, anything over 700 and about 49,000, 750,000, depending on like the loan type, will put you in that jumbo loan sector. You have your ARM, you have your 30-year FHA 6.35, you have your 30-year VA 6.37. Again, all of this information, this is a nationwide information. This is very vague information. This does not mean this is what your loan is going to be just because I'm showing you what these rates are. You have to get that information from your lender. And also, these rates are all based off of a lot of factors, right? So, but I just wanted to show you guys where it's kind of, hovering nationwide per se, and where it could possibly be somewhere in these ranges. But it is very based on you as a individual. So, but yeah. But nonetheless, you guys, I appreciate you joining me. I don't know if you guys have any questions before I jump off of here. We got about like 5 minutes left. I didn't want to get, too crazy tonight, because sometimes I'll go over time when I'm running my mouth about real estate. But yeah, but I definitely want you guys to know, as far as if you are a current home seller right now, the best thing for you to do is to price your house accordingly to the market. Do not get crazy. Do not try to overprice, because if you're overpricing, you're not either one, you're not getting anybody to put an offer on your home, or two, you're getting people that's going to lowball your home. Especially down here in this metro Atlanta, Georgia area, you have a lot of new construction happening down here. You have a lot of incentives. You have a lot of concessions being offered down here. And literally the same builders might have built a whole community 2 years ago. They're building a whole nother new community right up the street from where they built their last community at. So now they're building the same type of spec layouts. They're building everything they're building to spec now, because a lot of them, due to the inflation and the uncertainty of the economy, they don't want to kind of do individual type of building per se. They rather build the spec, so they have certain floor plans that they're already kind of building to, and they're leaving it like that. They might offer you some upgrades as far as like design packages, but what I'm noticing down here in Georgia now, a lot of these builders, they're not offering none of those things no more. They're doing basic design packages. They're doing basic spec floor plan builds. They're typically having about 2 to 3 to 4, at the most 4 different floor plan builds in a community, and that's what they're doing now. So they're not individually building your home to what you want per se. They're building based off of their affordability level, and they're also, what they're doing is they're allowing their subcontractors who have their people on the ground building, they're allowing them to build these specs, and then they're going to a whole nother community using the same floor plan again in a whole nother community. And it's just easier for the people that are building the houses, and it's easier for them. It's more affordable for the builders. And then, like I said, because a lot of them are offering those incentives and all those things like that. So yeah, so if you're a home seller in this market, don't get crazy about trying to overprice your home. Do not think, if you are working with a great real estate professional, please listen to your real estate professional. Like I said, I have a lot of doolulu home sellers, a lot of overly aggressive home sellers, a lot of home sellers that just don't want to listen, which is crazy. If you're a home buyer, be very wise as far as doing your homework, because you don't want to overpay in this market, especially in the metro Atlanta market when prices are adjusting. You do not want to overpay. Trust me. And that's what happened a lot last year, the year before, and a lot of these people are now trying to sell and they can't get out their house. You will be stuck in your house. So if you try to move, you will be stuck. And I'm telling you that because I have went on a lot of listing appointments with people that wanted to sell their houses, and when we pull out the information and the data, they cannot sell. They are stuck, you guys. They're stuck. So Croy said, Clark, when does live start? I start at 6:30 Eastern time. My dad had told me that I should move to 7 o'clock. So if you guys are down with 7 p.m. Eastern time, let me know, because we can go from 7 to 8. It seems like more people kind of come on around 7. I just didn't want to change the time up because everybody got used to the 6:30 period time. But I'm okay with going at 7 p.m. honestly, because for some reason, every time I jump on here around 6:30, as you guys saw earlier when we were in the live, I get a lot of like phone calls around 6:30 to 7, which is crazy. I don't hear nothing all day, and then the phone calls come at 6:30 to 7. So if 7 is better for you guys, let me know, and I will definitely change it to 7 p.m. I'm going to try to see next week if I can get a home insurance agent on here. I met this wonderful home insurance agent recently at a networking event, and I think she would be great to come on here to talk about things that we talked about. So I'm going to try to see if I can get her on next Sunday. But let me know if 7 is good, and then if she can come on from 7 to 8, I'll ask her. Hey, how you doing, Donna? How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Good evening. How you doing? So yes, if you are a home buyer, make sure you are telling your agent to really give you the data, the information. Like I said, a current buyer that I just recently met. She's also a realtor as well in a different states per se, but she was asking me different information about the metro Atlanta market, and asked me about like the taxes, asking me, because she was like, oh, I noticed in the taxes things was changing. like the numbers didn't make sense. We had one it had one tax bill was like $4,000 in the same community, and then another house in the same community was the tax was only $495 for the year. So I told her, I was like, and so when we dig deeper, we noticed that the $495 tax bill is because the person's a senior, so they were getting a lot of exemptions. So for that senior, her taxes is only $495 for the whole year. According to somebody's house that was an investment property, was 4,300, I think like $21 something for the whole year. So, like, digging deeper, understanding that, because I don't want people to get caught up, especially when you're buying a house. I don't want you to get caught up not understanding that your tax bill will not be like that, especially if you don't qualify for those exemptions as a senior. So understanding that as a home buyer, understanding like the loan that you're getting, understanding again, getting a good faith estimate if you are trying to buy a house in this environment. Get that good faith estimate to understand your monthly mortgage. It's just a lot. Make sure everything, do your comparables, your comps analysis in that neighborhood. See what if you're somebody that wants to buy the house, like buy a house and then only live in it for 2 to 3 years, something. See what the appreciation is doing in that part of the subdivision, but also in that whole area. Try to find out what that appreciation is kind of looking like, because typically you want to sit in a home for a longer period of time, because we do have ebbs and flows in real estate. And right now we're having one of those down parts for the metro Atlanta area. Let me say that in the metro Atlanta area, we're having one of those down slopes as far as your equity kind of poofing up in the air, disappearing. So if you thought you was going to buy a house 2 years ago and then sell it 2 years later, you at a higher price with it's not going to happen. So understand that. Understand how long you might have to live in it for that equity to accrue correctly. So just getting those little different things to make sure you are in the right spot. MHOA said, "We'll love an insurance show. Time doesn't matter to me." Okay, so I'll try for this. I'm gonna try it next week for 7. So I apologize if everybody jumps on here at 6:30. We're going to move it to the 7 o'clock hour, and we're going to see what we can do 7 o'clock, from 7 to 8. And hopefully I don't take up too much of people's dinner time. Lang said, "Great. Let me know offline what kind of speakers you want to join us on the show. Maybe I can help." Yes, I definitely will. And if anybody else has any other suggestions, let me know as well. You can always email me and let me know any suggestions, or even on the live, let me know any suggestions, and I'll try to reach out to certain people in those professions, to see if they could come on. But any suggestions that you guys feel is appropriate, or things you want to kind of know more in depth, let me know. If you want to know more things about investing, let me know. Lending wise and investing, let me know. Different things, whatever you guys feel that you kind of want get more information or knowledge about that you might not be able to find as often on YouTube or via searching online. All right. But nonetheless, thank you guys again for joining me this Sunday night. We are going to come back next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I hope and pray that we will get this insurance person on here next Sunday. If they don't, you'll just see my face again. But I'm going to try to make it happen where I can get her on the show. But have a wonderful night. Make sure you guys are eating and getting as much rest and sleep and water and your bodies as possible to continue to be healthy and and nourish your body correctly. And I appreciate everybody for jumping on tonight. Great, Lang said, "Great show tonight. Thank you everybody for participating today. Have a safe week." Yes, thank you everybody for coming on. Thank you, Donna, Lang, MHOA, Corey West, Jaron, my dad James, David Matney. And if you guys don't know David Matney, he has before I get off here too, David Matney has a YouTube channel that I'm going to let you guys, I want you guys to go over, if you haven't already, go over and give my buddy, give him subscribe to his channel. Wonderful guy, wonderful person. He actually helped get us over that hump of 1,000 subscribers. So definitely go over and subscribe to David Matney's YouTube channel. It's living in Omaha, David Matney. So he has some wonderful videos. He will be on live this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So about FHA financing. So definitely go over and give him a subscribe. All right. Take care, you guys. Have a wonderful night. And I will see you next Sunday. Bye, y'all.